Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Step right up and lend an ear. For tonight, the airways are humming with mystery and mirth. The lights are dim, the clock strikes just the right hour, and your old pal behind the mic has a satchel full of stories hotter than a jazz club on payday. So grab your seat, pour yourself a tall glass of giggle water, and let's tiptoe together to the shadows where the curious and the uncanny reside. The night is young, the tales are restless. Let's get the show on the road. Now, before we get into our usual broadcast tonight, I would like to apologize to everybody that was expected for a 1 hour, what's the word? What's the word? A 1 hour makeup, I guess is what you'd call it. I'm having a lot to do recently. A lot of things have been happening behind the scenes, behind the curtains. I have been a little preoccupied, so I only was able to get a hold of 2 stories today. That will probably last us a good 30. So I do apologize. I will make it up. I just have, once everything cools on the other side, I'll make it up with an hour, but right now 30 is the best I can do as of this moment. I hope you all understand, and yeah, let's get tonight's broadcast on the road. So, like I said, we only got 2 stories tonight, but we are back with the SCP world. Now, one of these stories is a little different than normal. So, because I've never done this kind of before, we will probably do that last. So let's get right into SCP-018. Now, I've never heard of this one. So it's a little different. It's a little different in the sense I just don't know anything about it. But it's called All That Never Stops. At least that's the title. I'd wish I'd never been assigned to it. There are plenty of safe, boring anomalies tucked away in Foundation storage. Furniture that hums when you touch it, paintings that don't stay still, stones that change color depending on who looks at them, things you can lock in a box and forget about. But SCP-018 isn't like that. SCP-018 is a monster disguised as a child's toy. And I was stupid enough to underestimate it. My first day was SCP-018. Started like any other. I was a junior researcher fresh out of my training rotation, still eager to prove I wasn't just another cog. My supervisor, Dr. Holloran, handed me a some file marked SCP-018. It's low risk, and it just needs regular monitoring. At least, that's what he said. And low risk, right? Sounds pretty. I opened a file expecting a long, complicated containment procedure, but the description was so short I almost laughed. Object class, Euclid. Appearance, red rubber ball. Diameter, 32 millimeters. Properties, unnatural acceleration when thrown. Struck or bounced. Energy does not dissipate. That was it. A red ball. The kind a kid might play jacks with. My assignment was simple. Log its kinetic activity, monitor its containment chamber for structural damage, and record any deviations. Easy enough, right? didn't understand then. And the Foundation doesn't waste resource on toys. If an object is here, it's because it's dangerous. And SCP-018 is dangerous in ways you can't imagine until you see it for yourself. The containment chamber looked like a vault, all reinforced steel and impact-resistant plating. The walls bore scars, deep dents, gouges, even puncture holes in places that had been patched with new plating. In the center of the room sat a small transparent cube on a pedestal. Inside it, nestled as harmless as anything with a tiny red ball. It looked ordinary. So ordinary. In fact, my first instinct was to laugh again. This was what I was assigned to? A glorified marvel. The surveillance footage changed my mind fast. I was shown a tape from years before one of the first tests after SCP-018 was retrieved from Redacted Toy Factory. The clip began with two D-class personnel standing in the chamber. One of them picked up SCP-018 and tossed it gently toward the other. It bounced once, twice, then rocketed into the air, ricocheting off the ceiling with a sound like a gunshot. The men scrambled, diving for cover as the ball tore across the room faster and faster with each bounce. It wasn't losing energy. It was gaining it. And within seconds, it was a blur, denting steel with every impact, sparks flying as it tore into the walls. The footage cut static. The report said the ball only stopped when it finally tore through the chest of one and his body absorbing just enough momentum to bring it to a halt. Over the next few weeks, I got used to the rhythms of 018. So I thought. The containment box was built with a specialized locking system that absorbs kinetic transfer, preventing the ball from gaining momentum inside its cube. Theoretically, it should have been safe as long as no one touched it. But here, anomalies do not play by the rules. During routine observation, I began noticing tiny vibrations in the floor around the pedestal. Barely perceptible at first, but just enough to make my pen roll if I set it down. When I checked the instruments, they recorded small irregular pulses of kinetic energy radiating from the cube. The ball wasn't moving, not visibly, but somehow it was. I submitted my findings to Dr. Holleran. He waved me off, said the instruments were probably miscalibrated. It's a rubber ball, and not an end-of-the-world scenario. At least, that's what he said. But, things are never what it is here. I should have refused, and I should have walked away. But I was ambitious, and when Dr. Holleran authorized another controlled test, I volunteered to oversee it. The plan was simple. Drop SCP-018 from a height of 1 meter inside the chamber and measure of the acceleration over 5 minutes. We had reinforced barriers, high-speed cameras, and 3 armed guards ready to shut the chamber down if necessary. A D-class was instructed to handle the ball. He looked terrified, his hand shaking as he lifted SCP-018 from its cube. Then he dropped it. The ball struck the floor with a sharp pop. It bounced once, twice, then it took off. And within seconds, it was a red blur, ricocheting off the walls, the ceiling, the floor, faster and faster until the sounds of impact merged into one deafening roar. Sparks flew as it punched divots into steel. The observation glass shook. D-class never stood a chance. The ball caught him in the leg, shattering bone, then in the chest, snapping ribs. He dropped screaming before the ball struck again and ended it. I wanted to scream for the guards to do something, but the truth was, we were helpless. There was no stopping it until the ball decided to stop. And it didn't until it tore clean through the chamber wall and vanished into the foundation of the facility. The alarms blared, emergency lockdown engaged. Teams scrambled to track SCP-018 as it tore through lower levels, ricocheting unpredictably. The impacts grew louder, closer, like thunder rolling through the halls. I was trapped in the observation booth. My palms slick against the console, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. Every few seconds, the whole facility shuddered with another impact. Then the power cut out. The silence was worse than the noise. I don't know how long I sat there in the dark. Every nerve on fire, waiting for that little red ball to come tearing through the wall and split me in half. Hours later, recovery teams found SCP-018 lodged deep in a reinforced support pillar. His momentum finally arrested by sheer will. Or sheer mass, yep. The ball was retrieved and locked away again. The official report listed 1 dead, 3 injured, significant structural damage. You can contain it, box it, bury it under concrete, but it isn't finished. It gathers potential energy like a predator gathering strength, and the moment it's free, it's unleashed. It unleashes everything it's stored in a storm of violence that no human can control. I used to think of anomalies as unpredictable, things that broke the laws of physics in strange, almost whimsical ways. I requested transfer. Denied. I requested SCP-018 reclassified as Keter. Denied. I requested termination. Laughed out of the room. It's just a ball, they said. I've seen what it can do, and I know one day containment will fail again. When it does, it won't stop with a single chamber, or a single facility. It'll keep bouncing, building speed, building power, until nothing can withstand it. And that's it for that. SCP-018. And as I said before, that was a little different because I've never heard of 018, but I have to say that was actually pretty entertaining. Very kind of creepy in its own way, but it was still entertaining nonetheless, which I am intrigued to read more about it if it ever gets around to it. But I think my last thoughts on it is that it is just one of those kind of, unique entities that you never really hear about, because I never, like I said, never heard of it before until now, so it was interesting, I have to admit. Alright, on to the last one of tonight's broadcast. SCP-019, the Monster Pot. Now, remember what I said earlier in the start of the broadcast, that this is a little different, because it is written different. It's written like a report. Not a horror story of sense, but it's a report. So it's going to go into detail that I guess I never talked about it. And I don't know why this kind of was a little submitted, but it's still interesting. So let's just get right into it. Item SCP-019. Object class Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-019 is to be contained in a specially constructed reinforced chamber no less than 10 by 10 by 10, lined with heat-resistant composite plating. No personnel are to enter SCP-019's containment containment chamber at any time without level 4 authorization and on-site armed security present. SCP-019 must remain under constant video surveillance. All access hatches must remain locked unless an experimentation is in progress. In an instance of SCP-019-1, emergent entities that appear outside the chamber are terminated immediately by on-site response teams using flamethrowers, high-caliber firearms, and, if necessary, incendiary explosives. Oh my god, English, that word got me caught there. No fewer than 3 rapid response incineration units are to be maintained in adjacent storage at all times. Description: SCP-019 resembles a large ceramic jar or urn, approximately 2.4 meters in diameter and 1.5 meters in height. The object appears to be made of fired clay, yet demonstrates tensile strength and durability far beyond the material. Surface analysis shows no signs of cracks, age, or degradation, despite apparent antiquity. Pod's mouth remains open at all times. Periodically, entities referred as SCP-019-1 will emerge from within. These entities vary in appearance, are universally hostile, displaying animalistic or insectoid characteristics with exaggerated claws, teeth, or spines. Instances of SCP-019-1 typically survive for only a few minutes outside SCP-019 before expiring rapidly. In that short span, they exhibit a violent aggression toward all life. Attempts to cover, seal, or block 019 opening have universally failed. In every test, entities either emerge through barriers or cause structural failure of obstruction. Discovery log. SCP-019 was recovered in redacted Greece, following a series of unexplained mass killings in a royal village. Foundation operatives discovered the door in the basement of a partially collapsed monastery. At the time of recovery, the structure was littered with hundreds of carcasses, both human and animal. Many torn apart, with claws or jaws far too large to match the attacker later described. Local folklore described SCP-019 as a cursed jar, used by an unnamed sect to be punished or to punish blasphemy. No written record has been recovered. Researcher log. Dr. Halverson. I've never seen day 14 post-recovery. I've never seen anything like it. At first glance, SCP-019 seemed like a relic, something you'd find in a museum, an artifact of a forgotten people. But then it begins to move. Not the jar itself, but the air around it. Standing near the opening, I swear I hear something. Chittering. Like insects rubbing their legs together, or a wet hissing that echoes from deep within its side. Deep inside. We've run spectrograph imaging. Nothing inside but darkness. No bottom we can measure. It's as if the pod's interior doesn't end. It just goes on forever. Test log 019-A. Procedure. Introduce B-class personnel to chamber and order visual inspection. Result. Subject reports whispering from within the jar. Camera feed captures subject leaning over the mouth of SCP-019. At T-000243, a long scaled appendage extends from within and seizes subject by the throat. Subject is pulled inside the jar with force sufficient to dislocate cervical vertebrae. Jar emits gurgle rumbling. No trace of subject recovered. Test log 019-C. Procedure. Place industrial grade still across the mouth of the jar. Weld wedges. Edges. Weld edges. Oh my god, English. Result. For 3 hours, no activity. At T030-314 vibration recorded inside SCP-019. Loading scene burst outward. SCP-019-1 entities erupt, numbering approximately 47. Response teams neutralized with incineration units. Chamber sustained significant structural damage. Notes. Sealing it makes it worse. The pot doesn't like to be covered. Incident report 019-07. On redacted 20 redacted. SCP-019 exhibit unprecedented activity. Chamber cameras recorded 123 entities emerging over a period of 6 minutes. Entities were larger than average, with some extending 2 meters in length. Entities demonstrated cooperative behavior, swarming security personnel and coordination attacks. 4 guards were killed before full termination. Following the event, SCP-019 entered a period of dormancy lasting 11 days. The longest recorded inactivity to date. Addendum 019-A. Interview transcript. Interviewed D99124. Interviewer Dr. Halverson. Context. D99124 survived 14 minutes in chamber with SCP-19 before being extracted. Begin log. Halverson, tell me what you saw inside. D-Class, it ain't right, Doc. Look in it, and it's not just dark. It's moving, like the dark itself is alive. Halverson, did you hear anything? D-Class personnel. Yeah, voices. Real quiet at first, but then louder. Not anything I know or understood. They was calling like they wanted me to lean closer. Halverson. And did you? D-Class. Yeah, can't help it. I looked in, and gosh, there were eyes, hundreds of them, looking right back. Halverson. And then entities emerged. D-Class. They didn't just crawl out, they climbed me. Like I was a ladder. Felt their claws digging like they were using me to get to you all. In law. Hold on. Test log 019-F. Procedure. Deploy remote probe into jar, tethered by carbon steel cables. Result. Probe descends 15 meters before visual contact loss. At T... Oh god, this... I never understand this, but... 112... Cable begins retracting uncontrollably. Probe recovered several damage. Severely damaged, as though crushed by immense pressure. Final frame showed jagged teeth arranged in concentric rings. Estimated diameter of all 2.8 meters. Incident report 019-11. Summary. On redacted 20 redacted. SCP-019 proceeded. Continuous entities for 37 minutes. Estimated 500 plus entities emerged before transmission response was successful. Termination response was successful. Unprecedented number overwhelmed site security, resulting in total chamber breach. Entities poured into adjacent hallways, haunting personnel. Survivors described hearing laughter from inside the jar throughout the event. Casualties. 23 personnel dead, 41 injured. Entire wing quarantined and incinerated. Post-incident analysis revealed SCP-019's surface had warmed to 87 degrees Celsius during event. Faint cracks appeared across the ceramic surface, though these self-healed within hours. Addendum 019-C. We've been wrong to treat SCP-019 as a passive object. It isn't. It chooses when to act. It decides how many creatures to release. Sometimes they come small, fragile, almost pathetic. Other times they are massive, armored, intelligent enough to cooperate. It's learning. Or worse, it's feeding. Every emergence, every attack, it drains us, studies us, tests our defenses. And when I listen at night, reviewing the tapes, I hear something buried in the static. A voice. And it repeats one phrase over and over. Not yet. Final note. There is no end to the entities, and there is no bottom to the jar. We don't know if it's a portal, a living organism, or a fragment of something larger. I am certain of one thing. SCP-019 is not an artifact. It's a womb, and whatever is gestating isn't ready. Not yet. And that is it for that story. And I have to say, that is actually one of the more creepier ways of reading, because I have never read reports or any stories like that on this broadcast like that, and it has given me chills up my spine. I have to admit that was a really good one. I hope I find more like that. I hope I can get some more ones like that, 'cause that was very entertaining. But I guess my final thoughts are, if we ever were to run into something like that, I hope we never have it out in public. But that's it, folks. Hourglass has run its sand, and the band is playing us out. Tonight's tales have danced their last jitterbug across the airwaves, and it's time to hang up the mic. Till next we meet, keep your lamps burning low, your hearts light. And remember, the shadows ain't half as frightful when we stroll them together. Until the next broadcast, this is your host, signing off with a tip of the hat and a hearty good night, dolls and fellas. Sleep tight, and don't let the phantoms cut in on your dreams. There we go. Oh my god.